Welcome, everybody. This is the Beer Guys Radio Show. We are experiencing an abundance of technical difficulties today. Our streaming platform changed a bunch of things on us. We basically had to rebuild from scratch. We can do it. We have the technology. They just keep changing it on us, and we have no idea what's going on. So we figured it out. We're back here, and we're going to do a show, I guess, about beer. Even with my floofy hair today, we'll make it through. I don't have any product in my hair today, guys. I'm
Mm.
going to have to make it through without any product. But let's see. Let me get down here. We're going to jump into the show. Y'all, as always, we would love to hear your comments, your input, what you're drinking, any questions you have. And, sometimes folks listening into the show actually answer questions we have that we don't know the answer to. So, with that said, we're going to rock on, and we'll see you again real soon. Welcome, everybody, to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, having a drink, having some conversations all about craft beer. I am Tim Dennis. Brian Hewitt, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. I flustered by the whole change of everything and
Oh,
the different
madness.
intro music was. Yeah, I'm all kinds of offset. I don't even know what to make of anything at all. But I'm drinking
I
some
don't know
beer
what to
and
make
trying to
either.
get by.
And that's,
Yeah.
I feel like my lights are too bright here. Let me adjust I have to adjust my light via app, which is kind of a pain. Like, I want to just be able to, do it. I mean, it's kind of handy when we're on the air here that I can just reach over and click a button and change the
We're
brightness. But,
we're at a
you
point where
know,
somebody says there's an app for that, and I cringe. I'm
yeah,
like, it doesn't. Not everything needs an app. I don't need to pull my phone out
you're
and log
right.
into it and scan my retina and do
Yeah,
all the crap. I'm just like, look, can I just flip a switch anymore? Can I just give
right.
somebody a $5
Mm,
bill? Can I just do these things anymore?
no,
No,
no.
no,
You
nobody
got to
can do anything without a phone
tap a
anymore.
watch or open your app or send a message or something like that. I'm going to share this information that I found out today because I'm going to guess there's others that don't know this and may be going through a similar problem. But my vehicle is it's a push to start. It's got the no key anymore. Push the button on the dashboard to start it. And if my battery and my key fob gets low, it won't recognize it. It's like, we don't see the key basically, and it won't start my vehicle. And there's times when it said, restart now or key will be needed. And I don't even know where a keyhole is on my vehicle. Somebody told me there's a slot like in the center console that if it does die, you insert it in there. I don't know. But anyhow, my key fob has been eating batteries at the rate of like one a month, and it's just way too much. So I put a new battery in, and I'm told it's dead again. Found out today that and I don't know how new my vehicle's a 2018, so it's not brand new. But your key fob in your vehicle, if they're within signal distance to each other, they talk to each other nonstop. So it's basically keeping the signal going nonstop because the way my office slash studio is on the front side of my house on the second story, but I'm right by my driveway. So it's talking. So I have to now buy a Faraday pouch that blocks the signals and keep my key fob inside a Faraday pouch. Or you can get a little box that does it, but to keep my battery from draining. And also, I've seen things about thieves ride around with a device that basically scans for signals. And if they get to a place to where they can pick up your key fob signal, they can unlock your vehicle just with, they can grab the signal and tell your vehicle to unlock or I guess probably start or anything. So I guess even if you're not draining your batteries, if you have a newer vehicle that's got push to start, and a key fob, maybe get you a little Faraday box or a Faraday pouch while you're in the house.
I was just thinking with your proximity and it's constantly talking. That
Yeah.
means because there's a little button you could push, somebody could walk over and open your car up without even probably having your key, and just
So
it would
that's
unlock because your fob is within range, right?
so that's the weird thing. They must have some proximity sensors there, Brian, because there's times like if I walk up and I try to open my car door with my left hand, because the way my key locks work, I don't have to unlock the vehicle. When I touch the back side of the handle, it unlocks the doors. So But there's times like if I try to open it, say with my left hand and my keys are in my right hand, it won't do it. I have to move the keys closer. So there are certain things it won't do unless it's within close proximity. But I'm assuming if those scammers grab that signal, they can also pretend that they're close, that they're right there. So
Oh yeah, I think so.
anyhow, so there you go. There's a little technology tidbit for you because we have just all kinds of stuff happening over here. Technology has been quite an adventure today.
Yes, it has.
All the way around. All right, guys, let's move right on here. Let's chat about our beers of the week. Brian, what are you getting into, sir?
So my pregame was a collaboration between Creature Comforts and Stepping Stone Brewing Company called Social Glue. It's a Danish lager, or was a Danish lager when I drank it.
Okay.
Anyway, it's no longer anything. It's in my belly, but it was good. It was really. I don't know what makes it Danish. I meant to do a little googling. I looked at the Untapped entry, and I didn't really see anything that like said it as being Danish, but it had a nice. It's very refreshing. Had some nice, kind of malty, crackery, kind of biscuity type of things going on, and some very bright. I want to say it was bright and almost just a little bit of tart, and I could swear there was a hint of Brett in there, like just a hint, the vague memory of Brett in there. But there's some combination of things there. I found that really refreshing and very enjoyable. So it's quite nice. This was something I got from my friend Ken, and I'm not sure actually how old it is. So it's possible that maybe there's some a little activity in that they can, but whatever was going on in there was all good. Enjoyed that. Finished that. Yes.
Can't put into words how disappointed I am that you try a new beer style and you can't tell us what makes it. So
I
since
meant
you
to look
didn't,
into it, but I forgot.
I will tell you what it is.
Okay.
So,
Do tell me.
a Danish lager tends to set between a German Pilsner, a Helles, and a Macro American lager. It's less bitter than a German Pils. It's slightly crisper than a Helles, and it has more malt presence with less corn and sugar than your Macro American lagers. So
That sounds right.
should be pale golden in color, clean,
Yep.
crisp, and light bodied. A moderate bitterness. They said not as bitter as a Czech Pilsner, not as soft as a Helles. Would you say that
sounds
seems
about
accurate?
And
All
there
right.
was a good hop presence without being very bitter. So that like some
Okay.
of the kind of grassier notes I think were coming from the hops. There was a little bit of bitterness.
That's what they said. It says moderate. Yeah. So
Yeah,
you got a little bit there.
it was definitely not it was definitely far. I definitely would not have mistaken it for an American Pilsner or an American lager of any kind.
Yeah.
Or a Helles. But I could
Okay.
see maybe similarities to a Helles in some regard. I thought about it's definitely not a German Pilsner either, or it did seem very distinct from that, but very
Okay.
cool style, and it kind
Yeah.
of reminded me of something that I can't think of the name of the beer, but there's it's like a southbound lager. There's some lager that was done by one of the breweries here in Georgia that was very similar to this, and I don't think they claimed it to be a Danish lager, but I'm like, this is really close to that. So
Interesting.
I like
It
that a
also
great
says
deal.
some grainy sweet malt with a slightly corner cereal edge, neutral clean fermentation. And they said ABV usually falls 4.6 to 5, somewhere in there.
This was
And
about 4.5%, I think. I believe that's what it was. Actually,
some classic commercial styles, Carlsberg Pilsner, Tuborg Grown. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's the O with the slash through it there.
Okay.
Fax Premium and Royal Pilsner. And I don't think I'm familiar with any of those. I don't even think I've had the Carlsberg Pilsner before. So
I've had Carlsberg before, and this was definitely significantly better than Carlsberg. Though I think I could probably see a little bit of thinking back on it. I'm like, all right, I could see
kind of get that. Okay.
a resemblance ishness to it. I didn't really occur to me to think about that. So, but moving on with my beers of the week, I am currently drinking Highwire's Elated Winter IPA, which is an American IPA with Michigan Chinook and Idaho 7 hops, balanced with a sticky caramel and toasted bread flavors. I believe that this might be their answer to Sierra Nevada Celebration. It's not quite as red. I get some similarities to that. I think they're heading in that direction with it. Winter IPA makes sense. And for the hanging out with the Patreon folks in the post game, I'm going to get into Brooklyn Brewery's black chocolate stout. I love this beer. It's my favorite Brooklyn beer of all time. And that's a Russian Imperial Stout. They've been making it since 1994, and they don't actually have any chocolate in it. So it's just a blend of something like six different malts and three distinct mashes to accomplish the chocolatey flavor that's in here. So it's has no chocolate. It's all the malts. So love that. Think it's fantastic. Can't wait to get into that.
Sounds tasty.
Yes.
Mo Mike Nate, what you drinking?
So I am coming off of being sick, so I've got some really fancy Robitussin in front of me. And I've
Nice.
got some black tea and some water, so I am not drinking any beer tonight.
Okay, that's it. You know, I don't know if it's Robitussin, but there are cocktails that they make with syrup. You know, so I don't know why. I think it's
Scissor?
just Kool-Aid. Yeah, make you some scissor there for your to treat you. So
I've
hope you
heard
feel
of
better, Nate.
like a Pepto cocktail. Somebody did something with that.
A
where they added-
Pepto.
yeah, they added.
That
it was
sounds
Pepto
awful.
and- I think it's some sort of a hair of the dog or
Oof.
a corpse reviver type of thing, except with Pepto. Yeah, anyway,
Man, there's some crazy cocktails out there. We saw, what was it we saw, Brian, recently? We were looking at some stuff with Guinness, and it wasn't just the old, like the 50/50s that we've talked about a lot, but they were adding some other stuff, actually making Guinness cocktails. And I don't remember any of them right now, but, you know, some of those get pretty crazy.
yeah. I mean, the one we talked about was the Trojan Horse. I think with Coca-Cola, that was half and half. But people
Coca-Cola,
were throwing
yeah.
like a shot of. Gen Z was doing the turbo with the Guinness, which was a shot of or double shot of espresso. I forget, or maybe
Single,
You-
I think.
yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, a lot of caffeine, but the one I like is I think people were another one that's really good is throwing roughly a shot of port. I think is roughly what it is. So into a Guinness, and it's really nice. I think people
I
have
could
done it
see
with
that.
sherry.
I could see it playing pretty well there. That'd be pretty good for
Yeah.
sure. Good stuff, man. So we did do a little partying recently. We went to see our friends at Three Taverns last weekend, not the latest weekend, but they 12th anniversary there that they celebrated. So that was a good time getting out and checking them out. Did we talk about that last week? That would have
We
been.
didn't have a show last week.
I think
It was the
Yeah.
holidays. I was going to say we
Mhm.
should have talked about it last week, but I don't feel like we did. But we took off for Thanksgiving. That's right. So
yeah, and I think it was the weekend prior to that. So we had a
It was.
show, but we were doing that while the show dropped.
while the
So I
show
don't
was
think
on,
we-
yeah.
Mhm.
So,
I don't believe we talked about that. Yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah.
I really like the glassware from that. It's
Cool.
a tumbler, like a. I meant to. I threatened to fill it full of whiskey after that, but I never did follow through on it. But it would be great for drinking some neat bourbon. But
It
anyway,
would. It's
yeah.
nice. How many of those glasses do you have? Do you have all 12, Brian?
No, because I don't think I've made it to quite all. I might. I actually might
Yeah.
have most. I don't know if
I
I've made
think
it to every single one, but I think I have most of them. Yeah.
I don't think I've missed one, Brian, since they started going. I feel like I've hit, and I feel like if I've hit all their anniversaries, that you most definitely have hit all their.
Well, I can definitely see 11 and 12 from here. 12 was the last one. And I
Okay.
know I've
Yeah.
seen 9. I have 9 and 10 shaking around somewhere. They had one that was a very, like a flute, a very tall one I've used for various Pilsners. Very nice to drink out of with a little gold rim on top. They do a good job with the glassware. I still get excited about glassware.
What was your favorite beer from the anniversary?
I'm gonna
Was
say
the anniversary stout? That
I
seems
think
like
so.
an easy. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with the anniversary stout. Yeah, I went through. I meant to go back because I had the week off. Go back and get the single because I missed the Belgian single. I forgot about it when I was running around, and that was the thing I most wanted to get, and I didn't get back to do that. So I kind of have regrets about that. But there was a lot of really, really impressive stuff pouring. But yeah, the anniversary stout, I guess, would be my favorite.
I think that was mine too, but they also had on a not on the menu beer, a Vienna lager that they did. And I love
yeah.
that style so much, y'all. So it's just such a great drinking beer when you want to step it up from a Pilsner. You know, you want just a little more character and stuff to it. The Vienna lager is a great place to go because it gives you a little bit more malty character and such. So I'm a big fan of that. We saw our buddies from Nappy Roots, who we are at Lantucky Brewing.
Yes,
That we haven't seen them in a while, and they're growing quite well. They've added new food options there. They're canning their beer now and doing some cool stuff and still making music, man. So they're out there living the dream. It's pretty good stuff.
You know, another thing I should bring up, I made it over to the Brick Store pub while I had some time off.
Oh
I got my
yeah,
celebration on cask, which
your cask.
cask celebration, and I got Monday night's drafted kilt on cask. And I got to tell you, for anybody who's in the area, if you can make it over to Brick Store pub and get that, that's killer this year. That's really good. The previous year, not as good as the year prior to that, but this year is very good on cask. So I highly recommend that.
If you're in the Atlanta area, definitely
Yeah,
worth
if
the
you're in
trip over to check
and
it
if you're
out.
not, fly or drive over and check it out. You
It's
should
worth
totally
the
do
trip.
that. Yeah.
That's we're kind of cool that we've got a few places here that do the cask ales and do them well. There's, I believe it's called Cask Mark certified, and I
Yeah.
know both Brick Store Pub and Good Word Brewing are Cask Mark certified. Do we have enough? I feel like there may be Porter. Did Porter get certified for that?
I don't remember.
But
It seems like there is another one, maybe, but yeah.
at least two, because cask ales are, I don't know that they're a huge trend, but there's definitely people that love them. And I think in American culture, we're starting to have a little more respect for them because I think it's misunderstood, but we've got, places like Brick Store, they're not just serving the beer, but they're educating people on real cask ales, so serving them at the right temperature, making sure they're fresh enough, the carbonation levels and everything. And it is not my favorite, I'll admit. Not a massive fan of cask ales, but it definitely does give you a different drinking experience from standard American style carbonated or standard carbonated beer.
I don't think every beer is suited for cask. I think there
Agreed,
are
for sure.
varieties that are definitely, and if you talk to the purists, the Brits that are pure about it, that some of the stuff we put on there, like Celebration, I've had people tell me, well, that doesn't belong on cask. That's not a proper cask ale. I'm like, and to that I say, you shut your mouth and
Right.
step away,
Shut
because
your mouth.
I'm gonna enjoy that. And I know that was a complaint about the. What was the annual the Atlanta cask ale
Atlanta
tasting?
cask ale tasting.
We
Yeah,
we always put stuff in there that people the Brits would look at it and they're like, "What are you doing? That doesn't belong in a cask." I'm like, "We'll do it our way. We're doing it our way."
that's pretty
So,
much it.
yeah.
And we've had guys come over from the UK that are cask ale, connoisseurs, authors, writers, judges, all of that for our cask ale festival. And the gentleman Owen Ogletree that puts on the cask ale festival, he's a huge fan of true cask ale. So I'm surprised he tolerates some of the stuff that people bring in cask. But
Yeah.
it's a thing where he delivers cask to breweries around the area and just kind of gives them free reign to put whatever they want to in the cask. And a lot of times, because again we're American breweries, you end up with a big stout with all kinds of cookies or candy or chocolate or coconuts or stuff in it. And I love those. I think they're great, but I don't think it's a great representation of what cask ale can be.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, still fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah. I agree.
But moving right along, Brian, lots to talk about this week. Some big headlines here, and this has been one that online people have differing opinions of how this news was reported and what is being reported. Brian, I haven't read your notes. I don't know if you're going to cite all the reasons they said for leaving here, but the Siebel Institute is leaving the United States after being here over 150 years.
Yeah, this is a big surprise. Yeah, they're moving their North American classroom operations from Chicago to Montreal. That's Canada. Oh, crazy.
It is.
Siebel is or was, I guess technically still is for the next month or so, the oldest brewing school in the United States. It was founded in 1868, and it's 157 years old. And the move is happening very quickly as well. It's scheduled for January 1st, and it will place the school near Molson's original brewery, which is the oldest brewery in North America. So there'll be history next to history, though. I guess them being in Canada, they could probably say they're the oldest brewing school in North America at that point, maybe, unless there's something older in Canada. So they got some history going on. So, yes, Tim, as to why they're doing this, I don't know if this is every reason, but these are the reasons I saw. A major factor, one of the biggest factor, is the new U.S. student visa policies, which those are going to limit visa durations for international students, and international students compromise the majority of the student body for the Siebel Institute. So that's a problem for them. The school also cites high operating costs and financial difficulties, especially during the pandemic. I thought it was interesting they mentioned the pandemic as one of the reasons for this because that's been a while. At this point, we should be moving on from that. The Siebel Institute is also owned by Montreal-based yeast and ingredient supplier named Lallemande Incorporated. I'm not sure if I was saying that right, but they've owned Siebel since 2000, and it probably a lot of beneficial financial considerations there for operating. They own it, having it in the same country that they're in, and operating it more regionally than the way they have to do it now. So yeah, that's what I've seen. I have seen rumors, and I don't recall, I couldn't find where I found them, that they are open to the idea of possibly having some satellite activity in the Chicago area for people that won't be able to make the trip up to Canada from the U.S. to attend classes. So they're not. I think there's the possibility they're not cutting off all the people that for them it used to be local. So, yeah, that's what I know. It's all very interesting, and man, I
a big
hate
move.
seeing stuff like this. Yeah, I hate seeing this.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about the breweries and stuff closing here. Lots of big ones. Rogue, most recently, which a very 37 years old, I think.
Yeah.
Founded in the 80s, which really is kind of the pretty early days of American craft beer. So, they've been around a long time. But for Siebel, as long as they've been here, and definitely, Siebel Institute, they are an institution. We know a lot of people that have gone through Siebel as part of the brewing education. So to see them saying, "Hey, we're done, we're out of here," that's a bold move, whatever the reasons may be. So
yeah, and the thing is, it will be good. It's the majority of their students are international, so it probably will help them out. I think they're going to wind up losing a lot of their U.S. students, and so if that's a small percentage, maybe not a big deal. But like I said, I heard rumors about them possibly doing some sort of satellite type of or remote learning type of things for people in the U.S. So they might be trying to soften the blow of that a little bit. I don't know how well that's going to work.
Do what they can there.
Yeah,
disappointing. Either way, it's pretty disappointing news. Brian, you and I have talked about this, and me being in the employment industry in my day job, definitely a hot topic here, but non-compete agreements.
Yeah.
And there was some movement, and I think it kind of fizzled out. There was big news when they said, I think the federal government tried to make them unenforceable, that you couldn't enforce a non-compete. Basically, people have a right to get a job out there, but you actually looked it up, and that's been shot down. So they are still enforceable. But the way that ties into our story is that Boston Beer Company is actually being sued over their non-compete agreements.
Yeah, I thought I knew things about this too because I was an IT consultant for a lot of years, and a lot of people want to put the millstone of a non-compete around your neck. Man, I got to be able to work in other places. I'm not taking your weird implementation of something somewhere else. I'm just going somewhere else where the work is, man. Anyway, So, yes, this week we learned that Boston Beer Company is facing a class action lawsuit in Massachusetts alleging the company improperly enforces restrictive non-compete compete agreements with former employees. Under Massachusetts law, employers that enforce non-competes must either pay what is called a garden leave, which is 6 months' salary, or, quote, mutually agreed upon consideration, unquote. In this case, Boston Beer is accused of skirting this law by paying a flat minimal fee of $3,000 instead of the garden leave. Reportedly, they will direct deposit this money even if it's refused, which kind of goes against the mutual part of the mutually agreed upon consideration. The article specifically cited somebody who wanted to refuse that as kind of a payment for, basically a draconian non-compete, and they just gave him the money anyway, and it's yeah, what are you going to do? You got the money now. I didn't want it, but they can direct deposit it. So anyway, the $3,000 payout obviously is often less than 5% of the compensation required under the garden leave because we're talking $3,000 worth versus 6 months worth of salary. The lawsuit alleges Boston Beer's aggressive tactics create fear and a chilling effect, forcing ex-employees to remain unemployed or seek work outside the beverage industry for fear of legal retaliation. this class action lawsuit could end up including hundreds or even thousands of former employees and may end up exceeding $5 million. And I guess that's damages that they would be seeking. The article mentioned a case of retaliation that actually happened in a previous lawsuit where a former Boston Beer rep lost their job after Boston Beer Company allegedly contacted that person's current employer. And the employer was a much smaller brewery than Boston Beer Company, and it doesn't take a lot of imagination to figure out what might have been said or threats that might have been made. I don't know. I don't have any information on that, though. So the crazy thing is that the non-competes, like Tim said, are still legal. Legal, not illegal. The Federal Trade Commission had a rule that would have banned them at the federal level, but that was blocked by a federal court, and the FTC has withdrawn their appeal, so they're not proceeding with that. They're not going to try to fight it. These days, non-compete agreements are enforced. It kind of varies by region. It's generally enforced at the state level, and it's after reading this, it's honestly hard to read or hear about this and not think less of Boston Beer Company. This is kind of shady. I'm like, yes, you sold our beer, so you can't ever sell anybody else's beer. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like,
yeah, and it kind of depends on
what's the competition here, other than it's just a different beer brand. I'm like, really?
It's tough. It's tough there, and you hear a lot of good about Boston Beer Company. I'd say that's the one thing here that I'm like, hey, that's not cool. We hear a lot of good stuff you guys do, and helping out smaller breweries and all this stuff, but especially not just having a non-compete. I could understand if they wanted to do that, but the sneaky way they're going about enforcing it, or if enforcing is even the right word there, not paying them what they're supposed to under the labor laws and that. And I can tell you what, if that is accurate information, they'll lose. I mean, they'll lose the lawsuit, no question. If they're not doing, especially when it comes to labor law, labor laws are very employee friendly in a lot of places. If you're not following up on it, we've had cases here, where some employees went after a brewery that they weren't compensating them right. Like they forced them to be 1099 independent contractors. And there's a lot of guidelines you have to fit to be a true 1099 contractor. And they didn't fit any of that. It was just the company doing that to avoid tax burden there. And there was something about, unpaid wages and that. So normally the courts are going to be on the side of an employee if a company's not taking care of them properly.
I think in previous cases, the fact that people receive the $3,000, even in the case where they tried to stop it from happening, I think they got them on that. Like that technicality of pushing the money into their account is probably what's saved their butts in some of these. I think with the right lawyer, class action, big money, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this could probably go against them. And I should say all of this is alleged. I don't know any of it's true.
Right.
If it is true, it does make me think less of Boston Beer. Like I want to like them, but don't be scummy. Don't
treat, even if they're former employees, there's no point in treating them like trash. And you know what? A lot of companies do, man. If you're out the door there, they don't care. It really changes the way, even if they're good to you while you're there. So
in some of these cases, I think a lot of them with the lawsuits, they didn't leave voluntarily. They were just cut. Like you're out, but also you can't do this work for anybody else ever again.
Yeah.
Or like for a year, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the non-compete actually is, but
and see, I think in some states, and I can't 100% confirm this, but I think in some states, if you're terminated, that they can't enforce a non-compete. They can't tell you can't work here or anywhere else, basically.
And here's the thing: when they cut them off, they paid them for all of their. I think it was like I'll pay them for all their PTO and gave them the $3,000 for the non-compete, so they could then, and they apparently do contact people. Say when they hear they get a job, they'll call them. The HR will call them and say, "Hey, you remember you have a non-compete?" Like, wow, like don't you have anything better to do with your time?
Beer's tough out there, man.
Does Boston
Beer tap handles
really fear you fired them? If they were dangerous, why would you fire them? Like if they were productive, like that. Anyway, I don't know.
If they're not a good employee, then they're doing you a favor by ruining one of your competitors out there.
Yeah, if they're bad, let them go screw somebody else up.
Man.
You should celebrate that.
What a mess, man. What a mess. Well, Brian, before we move along here, how about we give a shout out to our good friends over at Truck and Tap?
Indeed, yes, it is that time again, and I'm not just talking about the season of winter warmers and Christmas quads. I'm talking about Truck and Tap gift card season. All December long, if you buy a Truck and Tap gift card for yourself and or the craft beer lover in your life, probably both, you get bonus bucks. For example, if you spend $50 on a gift card, you get $10. If you spend $100, you get $25. That's just free money, people. And what can you do with those bonus bucks, you ask? Well, I can tell you that you can use those those bucks to buy one or more of my beers for this week. So, speaking of the beers of the week, here are my picks. At Truck and Tap Woodstock, I'm going with Delirium Noel. 'Tis the season for this classic Christmas strong dark ale. You can expect complex notes of dark fruit, caramel, cherry, cinnamon, clove, vanilla, and banana from Delirium Noel. You can also expect it to be featured in our upcoming Christmas beer show. A year or two ago, I think it beat every other beer in our annual blind tasting. So sometimes it's the best beer around. But you never know where it's going to land from one year to the next. This year, maybe not, but I recommend getting it anyway. At the Duluth location, I'm getting a Churro Grande from Boulevard, and I said that in a very gringo-y way. Churro Grande, great. This is an intriguing one that seems well-suited for colder days. It's a barrel-aged Imperial Brown Ale with cinnamon that clocks in at 11.5% ABV. Brown ales do not get a lot of love these days, and they're great when they're done right. And this one sounds interesting, as long as they don't go too crazy with the cinnamon. But I'll bet this one's done right. Boulevard does good work. At Truck and Tap Alpharetta, my pick is Still Fire's Thoroughly Good, which is a bourbon barrel aged Scotch ale, and I do love a Scotch ale, especially out of a bourbon barrel. The flavor notes mention rich vanilla, caramel, bourbon, sherry, and dark fruit, and that sounds fantastic. Still Fire also does good work, and so I'm sure it's great. And finally, at the Lawrenceville location, I'm going with another one from Boulevard. This time it's Proper Pour. Proper Pour is a big, boozy, double barrel aged imperial stout that spent time in both bourbon and ruby port barrels. I've had this one before, and I know it's great, and I definitely recommend trying it. And I think I still have a bottle of it around somewhere. I might get into that tonight. Who knows? And there you have my beer picks for the week. As always, if you'd like to see the full tap list before stopping by, take a look at truckandtap.com. The taps change quickly. You never know what great new beer might be going on and what favorite beer might be going off. And if you'd like to see what the food trucks are serving and what events are happening, your trivia, your karaoke, live music, pop-up Christmas bar type of things, which I believe are happening now, you can find that at truckandtap.com. Everything you need to know can be found at truckandtap.com. So check it out. And thank you to Truck and Tap for your support.
Good stuff. Thank you, Truck and Tap. We always appreciate you. Brian, do you enjoy a shower beer?
Yeah. Yes. I like them in theory. I don't know if I ever. I'm not
Have
sure
you
if
ever
I've ever
done
actually
it?
done one.
A
No.
shower beer? Yeah. Nate, how about you, man? Have you ever done the shower beer?
Yes, I have done the shower beer, and it's not something that I gravitate towards, but
Yeah.
there are times when I get home and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have a shower beer.
There's people that are fans. I mean, there's people
Yeah.
that say, just a cold beer and a hot shower is like there's
We
not
know
much better
somebody.
than that.
We know somebody who used to film himself on social media that was a fan.
Do we? I'm not.
Do
You know what?
we?
I'm not gonna ask
Let's
anything
not
else.
ask.
I don't care. I don't want to know. That's interesting info, Nate. Thanks for sharing that. So anyhow, Brian, you said you don't think you've done one, huh?
No, maybe I've done it one time. I don't think I want that shower water in my beard. I don't think there's a way to avoid it. And it's maybe if my shower were more conducive to drinking, proper shelving or something like that. But
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
warm water and I get it in there and it's just stuff in my I don't know. The premise seems good, but the actual execution of it doesn't seem quite as nice. But
Okay.
I have actually stumbled on subreddits where people like to take pictures of themselves doing
They
shower
do.
beers. And
Yeah.
that's
There's
highly
people very
entertaining,
into
too.
it, man.
Yeah,
very
into
into
it.
it for sure. Well, Brian, on that note, shower beer now, your shower water may be in your shower beer, as we've got some recycled water beer that's going to distro.
Yeah, I saw this. I'm like, an article about shower beer. Like, oh, okay, we're talking about a different kind of thing. So, California-based Epic Cleantech and Devil's Canyon Brewing Company have partnered to release 2 beers made from recycled gray water, What's gray water? Well, I think you probably figured it out. It's wastewater from showers and washing machines. It does not include water from toilets or kitchen sinks, so it's slightly less gross than those other kinds of water. But unlike previous stories we've talked about where breweries have used recycled water from various nefarious sources to make limited run beers, these are for wide release. The lineup includes Shower Hour IPA, which is a 6% juicy IPA, and Laundry Club Kolsch, which is a 4.6% golden ale. Both of these beers are available now at major retailers like Total Wine, and they're also on tap at the brewery. They plan to produce 250,000 cans of these beers next year, so definitely not limited. So here's the thing. Should you be concerned about drinking these beers? They say no. The water goes through a space grade, quote-unquote space grade, purification process that includes both biological and chemical treatments. They claim the water is actually cleaner and safer than your standard city tap water. But why would they do this? It's like this does still sound like a gimmick, even though it's like mass-produced gimmick. So it's all about water scarcity, which is a big thing in California. I think they have shortages of water, and it does take that by estimates that I read in the article. I don't know if they're actually 100% true, but about 10 gallons of water to produce 1 gallon of beer, which, when you think about it, seems a little wasteful, especially in a place where there's drought issues. So additionally, the beers also utilize drought-resistant hops and energy-efficient yeast, specifically Azaka hops, Fonio grain, which is that West African grain, which is cool to see again, and Quake yeast. So that's a very efficient yeast. That's at least in the IPA. So I'm going to assume that they're probably using Quake for both of them. But but okay, this sounds great. Would you drink it, guys? Would you drink it? There's a little bit of a psychological hurdle to get past here. Like knowing it came out of a shower drain. I don't even care as much about the laundry, but the shower drain, something about people washing their nether regions, and then the beer as a result of that, that does make it challenging for me.
I'm really curious how they know for a fact that it's only water from the shower and the washing machine.
Yeah, like I'm not going to claim to know how our plumbing and sewage works, but is that separate in the way it leaves, or maybe they're catching it from somewhere? Like I kind of thought it all went to the same place once it left the house, but I honestly don't know. So I really have no idea. But let's remember there are things that certain people do in the shower that it's debated on whether you do or do not. So
yeah, there are.
Yeah.
It may not be so gray after all that
right,
that water.
Right. Could be a little golden. Could be a little golden there. So
yes.
Yeah. That's and
I don't
maybe
think I want to go any further with that.
Right. We could leave it there, but I'm just saying, but the bottom line, Brian, is would I drink it? Yes. And here's why. Because they're not going to let them put beer out with bad water. I mean, if it's been going into packaging and it's going into distribution, then the water has obviously been treated and tested to a point where it's safe for consumption. Yeah, it's a little weird, and I'm sure the first time I had it, it'd be a little, all right, this is that. But I do know that if it's in the packaging like that, they're out, especially if they're out there bragging about it. It's not like, to be honest, we probably drank worse water in some beers before. So, yeah, I'd drink it, man. How about you?
Oh, I think I would. I mean, I'd be squeamish for a second, but I'm like, a lot of the water, I don't know how much of it winds up in drinking water, but there's water treatment. Something happens with that water.
Right.
Like water gets around. It doesn't stay in one spot. It gets through things, does stuff. It accomplishes things, and it does eventually end up back in the water supply that you drink. So, yeah, it's just weird to think about, but if you separate that out, it's like, well, at some point all water gets cleaned up because it was
at some
dirty.
point.
Yeah. So
who knows?
Yeah,
and
would.
I mean, a lot of breweries take your basic tap water and they reverse osmosis filter it, and then they add their brewing chemicals to it to get the water profile that they want for things like that. So who the heck knows, man? Who the heck knows what they're doing?
Yeah, if they distilled or reverse osmosis the water, I'm like that in itself would probably take care of a lot of it. I guess the various chemical and biological things they do just kill off any kind of weird bugs that aren't killed off by something else. So I think it'd be fine. But Mo Mike Mate, did you say whether or not you would drink it or not?
I did not say, and yeah, I would drink it.
Okay.
You know, it's one of
Okay.
those things that Tim had a very good point. So initially, I was gonna be like, like if you didn't tell me that it had that kind of water in it, sure, I'd drink it. But if you did, I'd have hesitation. But no, you're right, Tim. The amount of hurdles it had to get over and clear just to go out to the market and be
Right.
publicly consumed,
Yeah.
those are so ironclad that yes, I would absolutely drink it because I trust in the systems that brought it to market.
But what if it were the cleanest of all waters, but yet it had a very private part of a whale that was smoked with very interesting material put into the beer? Would you drink
Even
that?
better.
Yeah,
Wow.
you know what I'm talking about.
I do. Nate,
Yeah.
do you? It's I get the look on Nate's face tells me he does not know what you're talking about. Was that before Nate's time?
I thought he
Was
was
that
there. It
before
might
your
have been.
time, Nate? Do you know what we're talking about?
Yeah, unless it has something to do with Maine Beer Co. No, I have no idea what you're
No,
talking
no. So there's a beer, and I can't remember the name of it, but it is made with sheep dung smoked whale testicles.
I believe
So,
it's called
and
Havaler 2.
yeah, yeah. So, and Cat Lana actually brought it to us. He had it's Iceland, I believe, but he
Okay.
had visited there
Yep.
and he got a bottle and he came to the studio to hang out one time. I believe when we commissioned him to do the
Mhm.
painting for the Giving Kitchen. And he brought a bottle of it and we got to try it out. Unfortunately, it was kind of aged by the time it made it
Oh,
to us. So it tastes a little stale, but I could kind of tell, you know what? It wasn't unpleasant. It was a lightly smoked lager beer, basically. So
did it have
it
a
Yeah.
didn't.
hint of testicle?
I didn't get even a touch of testicles in it. Like
Not even a touch.
if I blind tasted that, I would have not thought this has. I was gonna say ocean oysters, but ocean oysters are actually just oysters. So but
Rocky
yeah,
Mountain
yeah,
ocean oysters.
right. Saltwater mountain oysters, I
That's
guess, or
right.
something like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I wouldn't have guessed it. Or it was also not dung-y, so I would not guess that it had been smoked over sheep dung.
Yeah, that was quite the
Yeah.
experience. Yeah, surprisingly like a laid back kind of beer. I'm like, okay, this is not a non-event. It's all leading up to actually taking a sip of it. Then after, like, oh, okay, it's a pretty
beer.
decent
It's a
smoked beer.
smoke beer.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the hard
Yeah.
thing is, after hearing that whole explanation, I still would try a sip of it just because curiosity is killing my cat. And I'm like, I gotta try it. I'm never
Yeah.
gonna have this opportunity ever again.
Yeah.
I won't tell.
Yeah.
I won't tell people I've tried it. But
I tell people I had
Oh yeah.
some friends in a group chat. We were talking beer, and they're not beer people, but they know that I'm a beer guy. So they asked me questions about it, and they just said they're like, Tim D, what's the weirdest beer you've ever tried? I was like, probably a lager made with smoked whale testicles. And they're like, you're gonna say psych, right? I'm like, oh no. So nope, I have
mm,
tried that. I don't know if there's much. There's got to be. I'm sure there's weirder stuff out there, but I don't know of it.
This might surprise you, Tim, but that beer has been discontinued according to Untapped. So
I'm amazed that it was not
unfortunately,
a number one seller there.
yeah, unfortunately
Yeah.
you can't get it anymore.
Yeah. How about that? How about that? Okay. Yeah. So shower beers. I wonder if they made it with gray water. I feel like they should have if they didn't. Maybe that's why I got discontinued.
Could be. Yeah, the water wasn't gray enough. Yeah.
Could have been, man. Could have been. Well, moving along, Brian, we have got a little update here. We'll keep it brief on this one. We've talked about them a lot, but Asahi, where they were hacked and ransomware and all that. But some big news is it sounds like users may have been exposed. People may be at risk due to their ransomware attack.
It is possible some of our listeners even would be affected by this. It's hard to say, but yeah, more to the Asahi ransomware attack story than we knew about in late September, and that we were told. Asahi has confirmed that the cyber attack did expose the personal data of approximately 1.5 million people. Back in September 29th, Asahi initially claimed that there was no confirmed leakage of the data, and we repeated that. We reported that because that's what we heard. But however, a recent investigation revealed that the ransomware did compromise the servers in their data center. The people that were affected include customer service accounts. Basically, that's nearly all of the 1.5 million people. It's got their names, their addresses, phone numbers, and emails. also current employees, their families, retirees, and an interesting category of people, anyone outside of the company who has ever received a message of congratulations or condolences from Asahi. Apparently, they got their data too, and
All right.
condolences
Interesting.
again to those people for that happening. So, though there is evidence of a clear exploit here, no data has been confirmed as being published on the internet yet. So, it's out there, but maybe it's not going to be leaked. I don't know, or maybe they don't. Maybe the people that have it don't realize they have it, or maybe they missed it. So, you never know, but the likelihood is 1.5 million people will be affected by this.
That's crazy, man. And I mean, there's, when you start getting random emails for stuff that you're like, I didn't sign up for this. Why am I getting
Yeah.
this and that? There's a very good chance that your stuff was just, sold in a data breach somewhere. So I think we've probably all been hit at one time or another by it and get out there. But I get these darn text messages all the time and voicemails too about this is a loan department. We've approved you for so and so, and it's like I don't have any reason at all here to be hearing from the loan department. So I don't know. I didn't apply for a loan. I don't need your money.
I just found out today. I think that the DoorDash, if you use DoorDash, they had a big
Did they?
hack, and I think a lot of their people, and I use that. So I don't think Asahi was going to be a thing for me, but I've been hit by so many of these so far. I'm sure it's my information's all over the dark web and the light web and the whatever web. Everything that's out there can be out there. It's out there right now. So I have no privacy at this point.
That's what I've kind of thought about with the things. It's like as many breaches are like, I hate to say this, but you get to the point to where there's like a data breach. People's accounts have been compromised. I'm like, okay, another one this week. Maybe I should take it a little more seriously. But do you remember this? Do you remember the service LifeLock, where like
Yes.
the guy? So I heard a story that the guy, I think he was the president or founder or something. He's like, I'm so confident, and I'll share my social security number right here. And he got his identity stolen. Like, he's yelling out his social security number in TV commercials.
That's just a
You can't do
challenge.
that.
Somebody's going to take that challenging. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, really? You're really going to do
They're
that?
like, you sure about this, brah? So he's
Yeah.
like, I guess
I've
you got
heard
to
about
believe
it.
in your product.
Believe it or not, they're still around because I think that I don't think I signed up for it. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Honestly, but I think it was actually part of my company's benefits plan was LifeLock. You could sign up for that. Like, and my thought at the time was, it's like, oh, they're still around. I didn't
Right.
know.
Oh, they exist.
I
You know
didn't know that.
something kind of parallel to this, but I've got credit monitoring set up at the credit agencies. I've got if there's any activity on my account, it messages me. And when I go to log in, like anytime there's a data breach, that shows up on your credit report. Like the credit report agencies get that your information has been found in a data breach. And so I get like 30 of those a week. So that's pretty much nonstop. But when I go to the credit bureau websites to log on, they all have like paid upgrade subscriptions to get. And I just feel like a credit agency shouldn't be able to charge me to see my credit history. I just think that's ridiculous. But
I kind of agree
apparently
with
they
that,
can.
Yeah.
Man. Apparently they can. But
Yeah.
moving right along here, Brian. Crazy stuff out there. Tilray news. Tilray all over the news. They just got all kinds of stuff going on, Brian. So what in the world is up with Tilray?
Yeah, I was looking through the news and I just kept seeing Tilray everywhere. So I thought I would consolidate this all into a neat little package of Tilray news. And man, I'm not an investor, and I love that. I like Sweetwater, and I hope the best for all the breweries they have. But they can't stay out of the news. So anyway, the first thing is Tilray, the owners of numerous breweries, like I said, Sweetwater, the Terrapin, Blue Point. 10 Barrel and Widmer on the West Coast and a bunch of other places. They're executing a 1-for-10 reverse stock split effective December 2nd. And by the time you're hearing this, I'm guessing that would be earlier in the same week, depending on when you hear the show. So that's happening this week anyway. I think they should call that a stock join instead of a stock split. And I think the coders in the audience will know what I'm talking about. That's a join. That's not a split. Anyway, basically the idea here is if you own Tilray stock, your shares would be divided by 10 and their value would be multiplied by 10. So basically the value of your shares that you had initially would be this the value of the shares would be the same after the split. You just, or the join, whatever, you just have a tenth of the number of them. So it wouldn't change anything at all in the short term. Why on earth would you do this? Why would you reduce your stocks by a factor of 10? So Tilray has had some stock issues lately. The main thing is they have a need to ensure their share price stays above the dollar minimum required to maintain a listing on the NASDAQ exchange, and they've had real problems with doing that, and they were nearly delisted this year because their stock price was under $1 for a long period of time. They're also looking to attract larger institutional investors. I guess and I think there is also some cost savings involved with having fewer shares in the market. There are fewer owners, basically, and fewer people that you have to send documentation to and keep up with and answer calls and whatever else. But despite a lot of optimism that they've had recently, Tilray's off-premise dollar sales for their brands has declined 14.2% year-to-date through November 2nd. So hopefully this works out for them. On top of that news, we also they have closed the original Revolver location. This is the latest thing on the chopping block in Tilray's cost-cutting effort. They're calling Project 420. It's the original brewery in Granbury, Texas, and this comes after them ending large-scale brewing operations at this location earlier this year. The tap room is going to continue to exist, but it's moving to Dallas-Fort Worth. Another thing is a tie into the news about Rogue Ales. Yeah, we heard about Rogue Ales abruptly shutting down recently. They're deeply in debt. They've declared Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which means they are basically destined to be liquidated at this point. But a number of breweries reportedly took a look at Rogue's books before the company shut down, which indicates they had interest in possibly purchasing the brewery. Among those names was Tilray. So, unfortunately, it appears that Rogue's books were so scary that they scared off all interested parties, which also interestingly included Oregon's Ninkasi Holding Company, which has bought a bunch of breweries in the past too. But Tilray had their fingers in everything this week, and that was all of it. So, like 3 different stories, Tilray.
Interesting.
So they're very, very dynamic brewery.
A lot of stuff going on out there, huh?
Yeah.
That reverse stock split, boy, that's interesting. It's our valuation's too low. Well, I know how to fix that. Yeah, we'll just move we'll move this over here and that there, and boom, now we're worth 10 times.
We'll just divide it by 10, and then everything is like
Crazy.
10 times the price, and boom, we don't have to worry about it. Our dollar stock is now a $10 stock. Perfect.
All right, I guess I don't know. I was going to say, I guess they know what they're doing, but I guess there's really no proof of that. So not
no
the way
proof.
things are going.
It's called accounting, Tim. Ever
That's
heard of
right.
it?
Yeah, debits and credits.
Yeah, I don't get that either. But hey, it works. It technically it's technically correct, which is the best kind of correct.
I guess so, man. I guess so. Well, Brian, some beer belly news here that they're saying that beer bellies can actually be a little more dangerous than we think.
Yeah, and I'm reporting this under duress because my entire news feed was overwhelmed with news about this the minute it was published. It was like an invasive species. It is choking out all other beer news. So I'm reporting it with the hopes that this will go away and I'll have better beer news next week. But a study of 2,244 adults found that men with beer bellies, aka abdominal obesity, are at high risk for heart damage, even if their overall body weight or BMI is considered normal, which is crazy to think of, meaning that if you're a skinny guy with a beer gut, you're not in the clear. Unlike general obesity, which often leads to enlarged heart chambers, abdominal fat is linked to the thickening of the heart muscle and the shrinking of the chambers within the heart, so that volume is smaller. That means your heart has to work harder to pump blood. And what makes this all especially frustrating is the usual measurements won't help you understand if you're at risk. The study suggests that the body mass index is an unreliable metric for gauging the risk, and the bathroom scale is also not going to tell you what you need to know. The key, apparently, is the waist to hip waist to hip ratio, meaning that this can be a problem for people of any size. And the spoiler here is a lot more people are considered obese if you go with this measurement as opposed to BMI or weight. So the risk applies to both men and women, but the risk is significantly higher for men. I think there is a genetic or whatever, a biological predisposition for men to do more in terms of the abdominal fat. So I have to give the standard warning with studies like this. This is my editorializing. It's not in the article. I don't have all the details, but the number of people studied, it's not a very large study to begin with. And the results indicate a correlation, they do not prove a causation. And people were weighed, measured, and MRI scanned, and the data was then compared against heart muscle thickness and volume, and then conclusions were drawn. When we see this, we also see this. So there is a correlation. One does not prove the other, but the indication seems to be that, getting a beer gut will have negative impacts on your heart.
Not good for you, huh?
Yeah, that's what we can tell. I looked for
Crazy
a link
stuff,
to the
man.
actual study, but I didn't see it. So, yeah.
Gotcha. The good old beer belly coming to get you, man. Coming to get you.
Yeah.
That about wraps up our show for this week. A little heads up, we will not have a live stream next week because we're going to be recording our Christmas beer tasting show, and that will come out next weekend. So we'll have that together with all our blind tasting of holiday beers, or I shouldn't say Christmas beer show. The last few years, it has become our Interfaith Holiday Craft Beer Spectacular.
Correct.
And we'll have our Jewish friends from Rainy Day Brewing joining us to do the tasting, which is always a good time hanging out with those guys. But if you dig what we're doing here, we would definitely love it if you would consider sharing this with a friend. Tell them to tune in, subscribe, just let them know about the show. If you really dig us, check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/beerguys. We'll get you some cool swag. We'll get you in our Discord chat, and you will get invites to the after party. Well, with all that said, we hope you have a really good week, and don't forget to drink local. Cheers. Well, we made it through, guys.
We did
Despite technology's best efforts against us here. So
goodness gracious, yeah.
You know,
StreamYard was actually fighting us.
After the fact, I think nobody will realize that the show had tremendous technical difficulties.
No, once we got it going, we were going there.
Yeah.
So, but y'all, we're going to end the live stream. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here. Again, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Man, we're coming up on Christmas. I guess
we are. Yes,
we're going to be sporadic this month, y'all. We'll try and keep you posted. So next week, no live stream, but we will have a show out next weekend with our holiday beer tasting, and that'll bring us to the 13th. The next is the 20th, and then the 27th. We may do a show on the 20th. Or a stream on the 20th, which would be
stream on the 17th,
which would be our show on the 20th.
Yeah.
But we probably will not have one that we stream on the 24th, which would be the 27th?
Yeah,
I guess will be the launch date for the podcast. But anyhow, we'll keep you posted, y'all. Off next week for the live stream, but the Christmas beer show will come out, holiday beer show. And with that, y'all have a good one, and we'll see you really soon.